Yo, what's good? This is Busy Bone from Bone Thugs and Harmony. Y'all watching Hip Hop Uncensored.
Hip Hop Uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Oh God, driving Sam and riding passenger side. And you heard it out the mouth of the greatest rapper.
Hey, if you want to become a sponsor for Hip Hop News Uncensored, email me right now at advertise@hiphopun.com. That's advertise@hiphopun.com. Do not wait. I want to kind of turn our attention to R. Kelly. You said you worked with him and his family for a while. What do you think about the recent verdict that happened with R. Kelly? And can you kind of give us a little bit of insight into that whole case? So we don't really know too much about it, but a lot of just speculation from the media.
With Mr. Cosby, and I stayed away from it because I always said social media was created to take black people away from current events of the day. You get a quick sound bite and you believe it, and you automatically deem somebody to be guilty just because of something you saw on social media. But I was doing Tariq Nasheed's show and the Carry Dangerous show, and his brother on the Carry Dangerous show, Ron, said, brother, you know, you're in PR. They're going to try to block your messaging and your story. You should consider that. And when I got to Santa Monica for the civil trial, that's what they tried to do. So I launched the Instagram account just 4 weeks ago, to be exact. And I launched it, and I just started doing my own reporting. I went back to my roots.
Yes, sir.
And I went back to my TV days and said, look, even though I was behind the scenes, I know how to report. I know how to do my own news. But with Robert, Robert was in a situation where I was reached out to, and I'm saying this because I'm getting a lot of DMs on social media, like, why won't you help Robert? You know, why won't you come out here and do something for him? Right. Why won't you speak? You say you're for black people. Yeah. Well, I've been working behind the scenes and never asked for one dime. Let me be very clear. Never asked for one dime. I didn't want any money. I just saw where he was going. Bill Cosby, Mr. Cosby became the litmus test. All right, they developed a formula, tried, true, and tested on how to destroy his legacy and career. Well, we got the formula. And so since we got the formula and it was created, you know, by coming after Mr. Cosby, I tried to just talk to Robert. And one of the things I tried to convey to his people and even him is Hugh Hefner started the Playboy Mansion in the 60s in Chicago. Okay, if a white man had to leave Chicago with the Playboy Mansion, what makes you think you could be the black Hugh Hefner living in the Trump Towers with two young women and you being accused of you know, having sex with young black girls? Now, first off, since when has America ever cared about black women and black girls? Right. Never. Yeah. But it just wouldn't listen. And the guy who he hired as his crisis manager, Darrell Johnson, Darrell lied to him and told him that he was Bill Cosby's crisis manager. So one of our former attorneys called me. Well, R. Kelly's attorney, Steve Greenberg, at the time, and said, look, this is Andrew. He could tell you that this guy's making it up. The Jewish guy, Greenberg, brings him on anyway. And he has signed a deal where he's getting Robert, the way Robert was paying him, he was signing over his royalty checks to this guy.
Wow. Man.
And so that's what Robert, think about why Robert is in this situation. He was trying to get his royalties and own the rights to his catalog, right? Yeah. And so now you're signing your royalties over to Greenberg, your attorney, which that's unethical. Yeah. Unethical. Yeah. So I'm talking to his spiritual advisor, a guy, Don Russell, who now is facing federal charges because Don, when he in New York, when it was about to air the documentary, he called in and said that there was a gunman there. So now he got a federal case against him. Wow. I had Tom Mesereau, who represented Michael Jackson, who did the 2018 trial with us. I had him to fly to Chicago from L.A. to sit with Robert. No one would listen. They would call me, and his cousin, Keith, who controls everything, along with the private investigator, when I got Mr. Cosby out Wednesday, June 30th of last year, I went to New York the next day. They flew into New York and met with me, gave them the formula. I said, look, somebody has to tell his story. he's no longer R. Kelly. He's Robert or Mr. Kelly. R. Kelly is a stage. They've destroyed the stage.
Yeah.
Now we have to humanize him.
Yes, sir.
This is a man who was molested and raped by his sister, who peed on him. Whenever you saw him get out of jail, bonded out, he always ended up at McDonald's. Reason why is because that's where his mother took him.
Wow.
And that's how he always felt her energy at the McDonald's, and he felt safe. And so he always went to McDonald's. There's issues that he can't read, he can't write. But if America just knew his story and the fact that his legal team did not depose one record executive, they were complicit. You know, you guys understand the music world, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you understand that hey, we on a hip hop show.
Yeah.
Right? So and we understand in the music game, these artists don't go out and get people. It's the roadies, it's the security, it's the managers. When you're hot and you're making them money and you're going platinum, they get you the girls. They bring you the bag of money. You know, I remember when my friends were promoting, he's passed away, William Sims, we called him Tanky. He had R. Kelly on tour, Prince on tour. And I used to be backstage. I used to watch mothers tell their daughters to take off their underwear.
Wow.
I've seen this. And you mean to tell me they're not held accountable? The parents are not? As Mr. Cosby say, the revolution starts in the home, right?
Yes, sir.
And so it was those things what I wanted to do for him. And I was in a train station last year, and his cousin Keith called me, and I recommended attorney Jennifer Bonjean. And she told me she was talking to them, and she's our attorney. And I said, well, Keith is the one that has the means and resources to pay you. And I connected them on a text message, and that's how she got involved.
Okay.
And I've always told them I didn't want a dime. Now, I did tell Keith when we talked, and I want to put the truth and facts out here. I don't believe in hiding anything behind the door. So when people come back at your show, I want them to, they make whatever comments. I want to put it all out here. I don't do halfway stories because this is not a halfway house show. So, so this is the real. I do the real stories, and I stick with the truth and the facts, man. And one thing I said to him, I said, look, it would cost, you would have to pay me something because I would have to travel. I would have to do this. I would have to, expenses. And because it gets expensive when you go live in a city. You have to go live in a hotel. You have to do this. You have to develop relationships. You have to be out here working in public. You got to, part of doing what I do, I have to be in the streets. Okay, I got to go in the hood because I know what the street committee, they're the ones that know any and everything. They're the ones that could possibly be on these juries. They could be potential jurors. And their minds are already tainted. So now I got to go hang out in whatever spot I need to hang out at. I don't care how rough it is. Look, I tell everybody, one thing I don't fear is my people.
Yes.
I'm careful and I understand, but I don't fear my people.
That's right.
And when you don't fear your people, that gives you a certain amount of respect where you could go into certain hoods and everybody be like, oh, you here? It's like you hanging out on the corner at the White House, get some subs. A guy came up to me, are you serious? Like, look, I'm just a regular guy, regular dude. And they didn't understand that aspect of it. Of that I would have to go and tell his story. So when TMZ caught me in Beverly Hills last year, when he was when Robert was found guilty, and they said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, he was railroaded." He was, because how do you take a RICO law?
Right.
Now, a RICO law, this law was passed in 1970 by Congress to take down crime families.
Exactly.
Okay, now you're gonna take it into sex trafficking. They're designing the formula on how to take successful black men, whether you're, especially if you're entertainment, you're athlete. They're finding unique ways now. They're using a RICO law. A RICO law. He wasn't smuggling drugs. He didn't have any casinos.
Right.
You're treating this man like he's Bugsy Siegel.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And you use this law to say, well, but he was trafficking young girls. You didn't use that law against Jeffrey Epstein.
Nope.
Good point. Wow.
Think about it.
Yep.
You didn't use that law against Ghislaine Maxwell.
Right. Yep. She got 20 years.
Okay. But did you ever hear RICO?
Nope. Sure didn't.
So think about what they're doing. They're restructuring, as I said earlier. When we figure out the laws, because they created the laws, they restructure the laws.
Yep.
And they restructure the laws because, first of all, they understand that if you want a black person to read something, put it in a book, because we're not going to open the book. And they understand that they got our attention focused on materialistic things, social media. How can I get the next, Gucci or Birkin bag? How can I live this life that's fictional? It's Tinseltown. It's truly that. So that's the background on Robert. I tried to stop Robert from doing the Gayle King interview.
Yeah.
And I called, and what Darrell did, he set the interview up, and Oprah funneled money in. And Robert never got to see a dime of it. And so look what Gayle did. She let him stand up, even though he was emotional.
Right.
That's why he should have never done an interview.
Exactly.
Because look, we all got pulled over by a cop with a traffic ticket, and we get emotional because we know we didn't run that red light. We know you're profiling us. Well, it's certain when you're in those heightened situations, you have to now take a step back and say, this is not the time that I go and do a sit-down interview. Robert tried to repair himself. You can't repair yourself. You have to have somebody else who's not in your realm, not in your world to repair you. I'm not in your world.
Right.
I'm not in your realm. I'm not out here cutting the album. I'm not doing the show.
Right.
My job is to use my image and tie my image to you. And say that I'm not perfect, because every man has his fallacies and idiosyncrasies. I'm not a perfect, but what I can do, I could tell you a story. Let someone else tell your story. But see, they coerced him with money that he never got to see.
Man.
And you never know who they're putting around you to set you up. Go back, man, to those Godfather movies, and I tell everybody, I said, the Italians, which they made the Italian mafia part of American history, believe it or not. but go back and look at those movies. The people who was setting somebody up was always on the inside. It was part of someone connected to the family, right?
Yeah.
But see, the way the Italians had it set up, they had the local law enforcement. They had all of that on lock. But the Jewish mafia had the federales. And the Jewish mob is the ones that took down the Italian mob.
Wow.
Go look at the history.
Yeah.
Study the history. And when you understand who controls and owns the industry, the entertainment industry, the record businesses, the television network, Jewish guys.
Yep.